Hello and welcome to Policy Bazaar. I'm Arjun Bhagat. Now, we all want to save our tax outgo, and for many, the last few weeks of the financial year becomes this last opportunity. Unfortunately, in the midst of this last-minute rush, we expose ourselves to wrong investments and in the process get stuck with an unwanted or unsuitable investment. Now, in our previous episodes, we've discussed about the relevance of tax planning and how we can save tax outgo by investing in life, health insurance and other policies. Today, we are going to talk about how you can reduce your tax burden by choosing the right investment options. After all, it is really now that you need to plan your investments if you haven't already done so. Let's welcome Yashish Dahiya, CEO and co-founder of Policy Bazaar. Welcome, Yashish. So, we can save tax by good policies, but that strategy often doesn't work, and we've seen it. What goes wrong, when you plan last minute or go for that policy that is really not suitable for you?
See, what I have seen is that it takes you a few hours of understanding and planning to make the right decisions. But we usually procrastinate till the last moment, whether it is 31st of December or 31st of March. And the last minute, we try to make whatever decision because there is this 1.5 lakh rupees. See, people know what their income is, so they know they've got a tax liability. And the investment certainly saves on the tax liability. So usually you see people at the last minute investing. And at that time, they become almost desperate that I have to invest by this date. Who will give me the receipt quickly, etc., etc. So, you see a lot of those kind of questions, and we interact with them all the time. And at that stage, one goes for the simplest rather than the most optimal.
So what would that approach be? I mean, so that our viewers really get to know what is the problem that...
You'd basically go in for a tax-saving FD. It's instantaneous. Just take it. And you've got it instantaneously. But the basic problem... So I used to do the same. So it's not that... So we're all learning together, right? So till 2 years ago, my investments used to go into tax-saving FDs as well. And one thing did not strike me, that a tax-saving FD is actually not tax-free. So when I invest in a tax-saving FD and I get, let's say today, now it's become even more problematic because you're getting a 7%, 7.5% return. You're no longer getting the 8.5% that you were getting some time back. And I think this will reduce over time. But at the end of the 5 years, first of all, I have to lock in for 5 years. But at the end of the 5 years, when suppose I invest 1 lakh rupees every year for 5 years, and this 5 lakh rupees goes and becomes 8 lakh rupees, argument's sake, or let's say 10 lakh rupees. It's usually 8 lakh rupees. So when I get this 8 lakh rupees back, on the 3 lakh rupees that I have earned, I have to pay taxes. And hence, at 30%, I earn at 30%, many people earn at 30%. You are left not with the 3 lakh rupees, but with 30% less or 90,000 less, so 2 lakh 10,000 rupees. And hence, the return you have got over this period is no longer that 7%, but it's closer to 5%. Now, if that is the case, there are a lot of options which in a guaranteed manner get you much more than the 5%. So you don't need to go in for that. And, there's the same thing with a lot of, endowment plans because the agent is there and then, and you can do it quickly. So it's about speed versus thought through.
So let's talk about the ideal investment options that one has, and we have a couple of weeks to plan right now.
Yeah, so I don't think there's an ideal plan out there for everybody. People at different stages of life will have different objectives.
So the do's and don'ts.
Yeah, the do's and don'ts. The most important thing is to get your goals in order. It doesn't take us long to think about what is important to us, whether it is retirement, whether it is children's education, or whether it is health insurance or life insurance. The first part is to get your goals aligned because the government has put these incentives in. Why is the government giving these tax breaks? They're not doing it for fun. The government obviously does not want to give tax breaks just like that, right? So giving these tax breaks so that people can plan for their goals. If you're not doing that, then you're wasting your opportunity that has been provided to you. So the first thing is to get your goals in order. And as I said, they come in that order: health insurance, life insurance, pension, child cost planning. If you have sorted out these four and then you still have space, then you go for pure tax planning, where all you are saying is, I want to invest to save tax. There are, of course, a huge range of options, and we can kind of go through them. But the order must be the same, where you think of your risk first, health insurance, life insurance, post that, pension planning, and then child cost planning, or reverse. So people can do so for Indians, child cost planning is usually higher than pension planning, which is perfectly fine. But the order has to stay that.
What about traditional plans? Because we hear a lot of clatter that, this is the time to buy traditional plans. It's really being pushed. So is that a good option at this point of time?
So see, traditional plans, and my answer here is going to change from whatever you have heard over the years somewhat. Traditional plans are typically a low return plan. The best traditional plans offer you about 5% returns over a long period of time. However, they do have life insurance cover and a few other products along with it. Now, these did not stand a chance if you added term plus FD in the past. Or if you took, and there is one option which is better than both, but I will come to that just a bit. However, suddenly, with the FD rates dropping, the endowment plans are not so bad. Because with an FD also post-tax, you're getting 5%. Take away 30% from 7% and you're left with, 2.1 will be going away. So 4.9% is what you're left with. So you're approximately at 5%. And yes, there are plans out there that can give you up to 5.7%. So suddenly, compared to an FD, they're becoming better. Plus, you're entering a regime where the interest rates are likely to go down in the future. So they might come down to 4%, 5%, 3%, 2%, whatever it be. In the West, the interest rates are around 2%. So one needs to start thinking about endowment from that perspective. And maybe endowment plans are better. However, things like the ULIPs, which are debt-based, are even better because they have even lower cost than the endowment plans. They're a transparent manner of getting, essentially linked to debt. So you can still get returns of about 7.5% on those. So that is the route that I would suggest to consumers that they can particularly go for. However, every customer, and that's where I said, it depends on age. Every customer has a different life stage. If you are young, you may want to go the ALSS route or the mutual fund route. The ALSS, you can invest a small amount every month. Maybe if you have a total capability of a capacity of 1.5 lakhs a year, you invest 13,000 every month, and you build up your mutual fund portfolio through that. You get the tax break, plus you get the market growth, etc. over a long period of time. Markets have typically given about 17% returns over the last 30, 35 years. So you can imagine over the next 30 years also, they're likely to do the same thing. So that is one way of building it up. There's, of course, the government national pension scheme, which has now got the 50,000 rupees additional piece. I think what will be important is if we kind of ran through what has changed in the last 1 year so that you can update your knowledge about your tax saving options.
Yeah, so that's a good, the good idea of yours. So has there been a lot of change in the last 1 year of
Yes.
how one can go about saving?
Yes, compared to last year, a few things have changed, which one must take into account. Let us start with health insurance. Your allowance was 15,000 rupees. Now it is 25,000 rupees. This is for your family and, not including your parents. For senior citizens, it was 20,000 rupees. Now it is 30,000 rupees. So you can increase that. So including senior citizens, you can have 25,000 plus 30,000. So at 55,000 rupees is the potential tax you could save on that basis. For your 80C, you used to get 1 lakh rupees. Now you can get 1.5 lakh rupees. So there's 50,000 increment there. So if you're buying 1 lakh rupee policies, now you can be buying 1.5 lakh rupee policies. Again, your options are ULIPs, etc. As I said, we'll get to the tax exemption bit in just one bit post this. In addition to this, for national pension scheme, you've got another 50,000 rupees on top of this 1.5 lakh rupees, which is allowed under something called 80CCF. Right? The alternative way is you can also have infrastructure bonds by which you can save another 15,000 or 15 to 20,000 rupees again under the same 80CCF. So there are a whole host of options. Now the first 1.5 lakh rupees you can go for for life insurance, which is your
So what you're saying is when you're sitting down there, plan it out, put pen to paper and list it out
I think the most important thing is get your goals in place.
Right.
Because if you
So goals in place.
a basic thing, why do you want to invest that 1.5 lakh rupees or 2 lakh rupees? It is important to you, right? That is an important part of your money. You don't have to just throw it in just to save tax. You can link it to your pension planning, or you can link it to your
So long-term
whatever
goals,
your goals are, whatever your mid to long-term goals are. See, if your child is 8 years old, they might soon, in 10 years' time, they're going to be 18. Now, you have that girl plan which has been launched, which is giving you 9.2% returns.
which is the Sukanya Samriddhi.
Which is Sukanya Samriddhi plan.
Right.
Which is giving you 9.2% returns as long as the child is below 10 years. Now that is better than any FD, that is better than anything else. You're allowed to invest up to 1.5 lakh rupees in that. Point is, align it to the goal. Is the goal to save some money for your daughter or daughters? If it is, then you have a plan which is better at doing that than anything else. That is not your retirement planning corpus.
So what we're really talking about is the correct choices,
Yes.
Make those correct choices and then you'll benefit in the long run or the medium term.
And it does not take you more than 1.5 to 2 hours to do that. It is not something which you need to do over months. The information is all available fairly transparently and in a straightforward manner. There are, so there are various ways in which you can start off these plans. Now, for a 50-year-old to buy a life insurance plan may not make sense for a ULIP, right? Whereas for a 35-year-old, it'll make perfect sense. It's one of the best options out there. So depending on your age, and that's why I said there is no one answer. Depending on your age, your risk appetite. Now NPS is okay if you are slightly older and bit conservative. If you are younger, it is not so great because 50% of your capital has to be deployed into national and state government bonds, which may over a long period have very low returns. Only 50% of your capital is going to enjoy the growth of the equity. So is it going to be sufficient to counter inflation? One doesn't know if NPS will be sufficient to counter inflation. That is not an issue you face with something like a ULIP. So again, you have to balance it out. For an older person, the NPS may be a much better option.
So you talked about Sukanya Samriddhi plan, which is a new product. So can you elaborate on that?
Basically, if you have daughters under the age of 10 years, you can go in and invest for the Sukanya Samriddhi plan. Up to 1.5 lakh rupees a year can be invested, and as low as 1,000 rupees at a time can be invested in that plan. The advantage of this plan is it's absolutely tax-free. The money comes after your daughter is 18 years of age. She can withdraw half the money, or upon marriage she can withdraw half the money, and on 21 she gets the entire sum. And the benefit of this is you will get about 9+% returns, which are higher than anything else that is available in the market. So clearly it benefits people to purchase this plan rather than anything else. It is like investing in a higher return product. However, when the funds are received, they are taxable. That is the difference between this versus a ULIP. So if you had invested in a ULIP, when you get the money back, that will not be taxable. Here, when you do receive the funds back, the benefit you have gained, that will be taxable.
Right. So for the benefit of our viewers, walk us through the different income tax slabs and insurance or tax components within that one can take advantage of.
So I think that's a very important one because there is this whole concept of tax exempt. You can be tax exempt at 3 stages. When you are investing the money, that money can become tax exempt. Every year, when you're getting the returns, that can be tax exempt. Your profit can be tax exempt. Or third is when you receive the money in the end, it can be tax exempt. Now, insurance products are tax exempt at all 3 stages. Your mutual funds, as long as you're keeping them for long enough, are tax exempt at the end, whereas your fixed deposits are tax exempt at the beginning. But they're not tax exempt at all 3 stages, right? So the insurance component products become very, very superior when you include tax into. But who is tax relevant for? So if you're at the 30% tax bracket, then the ULIPs are clearly much more beneficial for you. But if you're at the 10% tax bracket, then I would not suggest going in for ULIPs. Also, one is assuming that if you are younger and at the 30% tax bracket, then your risk appetite is slightly higher. So you could, even if you had capital over and above the 1.5 lakh rupees, you could go more for mutual funds or ELSS kind of schemes. Whereas when you're at the lower income area, you don't want to take those kind of risks. You may want to keep the capital more in fixed deposits. So the lower your income, the older the age, you would tend to be more towards fixed deposits. The higher your income, you might want to move towards insurance products because insurance-linked products because they give you the tax advantage. When your objective is, I'm talking about the objective primarily being investment right now, right? So I'm not talking about health insurance and life cover. And as you get older, you would move towards safer investments, and as you get younger, you would move towards more market-linked investments.
Right, Yashish, of course, we're running out of time in this particular segment, but very quickly, of course, we've been talking about last-minute investments, and you explained it beautifully. What is the quick advice you would give to people for the new financial year? Because that's not too far away either.
I think when you make your annual 1.5, 2 lakh, 3 lakh, whatever you have to plan and invest for tax purposes, my view is start in April. Do it over a period of time. First of all, there'll be no burden when you're paying 15,000 rupees a month rather than paying 1.5 lakh rupees immediately. For everybody, when you pay that one, for the salaried class, your expenses and your incomes are kind of linked in some way. So having an outgo in 1 month is not a great idea. I think link it up and please make your choice whether you want to be market linked, debt linked. Clearly what one is seeing is in the last 1 year, real estate seems to have become a bit of a question mark in terms of guaranteed returns, if you would. The options are more towards the market or the fixed deposit sides.
Right. Who's going to be answering your questions? And we've got a question from Sharad. He's 29 years old and he says, I have a 25 lakh term policy. I want to take one more term policy for 50 lakhs. Is there any term policy with critical illness rider, disability rider? Please suggest. Yashish.
There are a lot of plans with critical illness and disability riders. You could have a look at ICICI Prudential's recent plan. There is, there's also terminal illness benefit, which again, both ICICI Prudential as well as Aegon Religare have got. Critical illness, you can also buy plans which are both linked and standalone. So have a good look, but there are definitely a lot of options out there. I think the HDFC plan also has it. The PNB MetLife plan also has it. So quite a few options. Future Generali plan also has some of these riders. So there's lots of riders available in term plans. Just go and have a look because it's a lot of choice. Yeah, there's a lot of choice out there.
Right, and we've got a question from Arun, and he asks, are ULIPs good investment options both for children as well as for retirement planning? Should he opt for a separate investment for securing his child's future vis-a-vis retirement planning?
Certainly, depending on obviously children's age and your ability, you have to have separate plans for your children's education and your retirement, because you neither want to be in a situation when you are spending for your kids out of your retirement corpus, and nor you want to be in a situation where, so you don't want a conflict between these two choices, right? They're very important elements of happiness, so to say, to have a good retirement plan and to have enough capital for the children to be educated. And you don't want to compromise between the two by having only one plan. And ULIPs are a great long-term investment route, whether you want to go for more fixed returns through their debt funds, or whether you want to go through more market-linked returns through the... So the ULIPs come in both forms. ULIP is just a unit linked. That unit can be debt or the unit can be market-linked, as in stock market-linked. So you can link the unit to anything. So I think ULIPs are a great option. They are very low cost. They are operating today at a cost of about 1.5%, which is lower than mutual funds, because most mutual funds that you purchase will have, equity mutual funds will have a cost of about 2.25%. So they are a great option. Plus they have the triple benefit of tax, which is exempt at all 3 stages. More importantly, they have a lot of flexibility. So after 5 years, you can withdraw the money anytime. If you took a pure pension-based plan, you would be locked into it all the way till retirement, and then too, you can only take out 1/3 at a time. The remaining 2/3 of it has to go into an annuity plan, and you don't know how many options you will have on the annuity. I'm a bit suspicious of what annuity options you will have at that stage, because in a way you'll be locked in. You will have to put this 2/3 of money into annuity plans, and I think the consumer could be the receiving end of this conversation 20 years from now, because companies may limit the options that they have, given that they are locked in and they have to do it. So, my view is that's what makes the ULIP quite good, because you can stay in a ULIP just like a pension plan all the way till the end. If you want to keep 2/3 of it in an annuity plan, you have the option of doing it. If you want to take all of it out, you have the option of doing it, and you have the tax benefits. More importantly, when you have a pension plan, you will have taxes when you receive the money. In the ULIP, when you receive the money, there will be no taxes also. So clearly a better option in my view as of today.
Right, we've got Saloni. She's 32 years old and she's covered under her employer's group health insurance scheme. She now plans to buy a separate health policy for herself and is confused whether she should buy a regular health plan or a critical illness plan, and how can she choose between the two, Yashish?
Definitely a regular health plan she should purchase, because first of all, critical illness plans will not stay with her throughout the life of her, and her corporate policy will only last till she works with that corporate. So she should buy an individual health, a health insurance plan for herself. If over and above she has investment appetite or capability, then she should go for a critical illness plan as well. But yes, the critical illness plan is not a substitute for the base health plan. If she's finding it expensive, she can go for a top-up plan, a super top-up plan, because of the way a super top-up plan works is, if you have 3 lakh rupees from your company, you could cover everything above 3 lakhs for your super top-up, let's say up to 10 or 15 lakh rupees. And the day you retire, that super top-up will start covering the first 3 lakhs also. So to super top-up might be a better option for you if you were considered about the cost as well. And then you could perhaps take a critical illness along with that.
Thank you, Yashish, for joining us on the show. That's all the time that we have on this episode of Policy Bazaar. But last week, we asked you a question: what does health card offer? And the correct answer is cashless hospitalization in network hospitals. And Abhay Sharma, congratulations for giving us the right answer. Now, this week's question is, what is mandatory in motor insurance? A, third-party cover. B, comprehensive cover. C, both. You can send in your answers at queries@policybazaar.com. And we'll see you with another episode of Policy Bazaar. Goodbye.